All right, looks like we are finally streaming. That took me a few minutes because my Minecraft crashed. For whatever reason, if you try to open Minecraft before OBS, it always does weird stuff. And my rendering is a bit weird right now. I'm not sure. I think that's because I have Distant Horizons installed, but I don't have the Distant Horizons rendering right now. So it's just kind of deleting things as soon as they disappear. I have a really low render distance though because I'm trying really hard not to spoil a bunch of stuff that's like over there and there and there and there, a little bit there. Um, so the focus of today's stream is going to be working on this little area. It doesn't need a ton, but it's one of the things on my checklist that I want to cross off and just say that I'm done with. So this is the kind of secondary port for Brewerstown. This one is facing onto the ocean, while the other one is facing onto the lake. And that one is actually a bigger port, which may seem a bit odd, but I think it makes more sense for Brewerstown because they're more involved with trading with places like Regensburg up the river than trading with places like Castle Leslie, which is way over there, kind of across the ocean. Hello to John and Wyvernian in the chat. So yeah, today's going to be a pretty low-key live stream. Let me just figure out if I can make this a little bit. There we go, that's something. Actually not sure if I prefer that. There we go. Okay, I'll put it back. So there are a couple of houses down here, but I think this one is just going to be a tannery, and I'm not going to build a kind of domestic interior for this. This one is going to have a house though, so I think that this might be the tannery owner, and he lives here and works here with a couple of other hired people. Let me just make sure my sound is on. I'm not 100% sure. I know OBS can be tricky like that. Okay, there we go. And I need to make sure my music is off, I think. Or at least lower. Oh, I can't hear the game. Hold on. We'll get there, folks. Oh, it's because my sound is way down. Okay. That explains it. All right. I'm here to say hi. Like I said in the Discord, so I'll be watching later. Sound is on, by the way. Okay. Hello. Yeah, I did say that. Trying to collect my thoughts. Bit of a weird one. All right. So I think the goal for this area is for this to be a house that's just basically for storage, I think. I might put a small counter up front, actually. But we need to build out the interior, and I want this to be a dirt floor. So we're going to come in with some slabs. Just some supporting bits, basically, for the roof. And we can then come in, and probably going to put some on these sides as well. There we go, getting a little bit more light. So the floor here, I want to do my Brewerstown dirt texturing. So we're going to do a small area selection. Like so, and then paint it in. Here we go. Et voila. Gonna have a pretty basic counter area when you come into the place if you want to deal with. I guess if you want to deal with the leather merchants yourself instead of just going into town to buy whatever you need, there should be a small area. So here we go. And can put in another little window, make sure it's nice and bright. There we go. Hold on. Let me replace that door with something a little bit more like so. All right. So this is going to be kind of the storage area for finished goods. So I imagine we're going to need a chest in here to store basically money if we make money, or if things trade things with us. If people trade things with us. Probably some pots, and I want to do some shelving. So back here, something like this. Just some basic furniture designs, and probably some tripwire hooks up here just to show that we are kind of storing a bunch of stuff. Maybe coats for whoever works here. Do you have a void world? I do not. I have a super flat world, and that's where I do most of my building, typically. If I'm going to build in advance for something, I do it in my super flat. Here we go. I think I'm going to extend this up a little bit. Just so that we can get out more easily. Like so. And then I'll probably bust this out a couple more blocks. This is really laggy. I honestly think it's Distant Horizons. I don't entirely believe that it was ready for 1.21.4. Just because I haven't changed anything else recently, but let's maybe just do a full block. Or not, I don't know. That's fine. So my goal for this area was to do a kind of place where they're tanning all this leather. And I want to have an easier kind of way of getting in. So you can hear a bit of waves and wind and stuff because of the ambience mods we have. I'll crack that up just a notch. Unless it gets really annoying. But I like the ambience. Okay, I'm gonna remove... Actually, hold on. I'm not 100% happy with this interior yet. I feel like there's still a little bit more we can do. There we go. A little bit fuller. This is still a little bit too empty for my liking, though. So here, let's make a display entity. I want to make like a big stretched out rabbit hide. Like so, and we're just going to make it a little bit bigger, probably twice the size, so we can have it hang in here when you come in. That's way too big. Hold on. There we go, like so. Gonna push that back against the wall. Now I think this place is done. Okay, so we can remove our little emeralds and get into the actual leather tanning. So leather tanning in the Middle Ages is done with a lot of urine, and it's going to pollute the water, which is why I wanted it far away from the town, basically. And it's also going to smell really bad, basically, which is another good reason to have it far away from other important things. The other area, basically, where the other docks are, has a bathhouse, so I wanted to avoid doing that. The ambience has gotten to me, it's too loud. So I'm considering what I want to do here, and if we had like a freshwater river, I would do a little stream coming down, but I think these guys are probably just hauling up water. I'm not sure if you can use salt water for tanning. Maybe somebody can let me know in the comments, but I'm not sure if we would be able to use this water. I want to make a couple of these kind of tanning basins though up here, and we're going to offset them by just a block or two. Like so. Get a couple more in here. And these are basically just going to be pits where they're leaving a bunch of animal hides to soak. We're also going to have some scraping racks where they're getting rid of the fat and sinew and stuff on the bottoms of the hides. So let's see, these should be filled. And we need something to represent hides. Where is it? I used mangrove wood in a previous build, and I think I'm probably going to do that again, because I think it works pretty well. It kind of looks like a rough sort of animal hide. I'm trying to think if we can use anything else that'll look pretty good as well. Maybe logs? Hello, CMAD and Seagull in the chat. Also, I feel like we kind of need a tree up here. This feels like kind of bare. So why don't we see if we can't get a little tree. I want something with a bit more shade, I think. Maybe we can get something to hang over this building a little bit. There we go. That's nice. Then it kind of ties this into the foresty area a little bit, gives us a little bit of shade. Might put a couple of tables here, because you always need some place to hang out during your shifts. So why don't we just come in like so and so. And now we have a little workers area. I imagine it wouldn't be the most pleasant smelling place to work, but I think that they're pretty used to it, and I think they'd be okay having lunch with it. With that kind of smell around, I mean. So we have our basins. Some of them I want to be full, and some maybe less so. And come in like so. And maybe this one down here is... Actually, I think that's fine. We'll just go like that. And maybe this will work, actually, for some variation. There we go. Yeah, I think that works better, because this is kind of like a pretty tough-looking hide. Let me readjust myself, because I'm going to be streaming for 2 hours, and my legs are killing me. I had to do a presentation in class today, or in my... I mean, saying in class feels weird. It's a university lecture, but I was the one giving the lecture, and I had to stand for an hour, and that was pretty... I would say taxing. I would say that's pretty taxing, yeah. But let's get a couple of tanning racks. Maybe there's one over here and it isn't being used at the moment. So we could have an empty one. Let's see, I feel like we're still missing something. I mean, definitely missing a little bit of ground cover. So I'm going to say that we only want to affect the grass, and There we go. Something a little bit like that. Maybe a little bit less grass. Like so. When are you making a new video? I am planning on releasing my video on monumental world building and monumental architecture sometime in the next coming days. I will say I haven't recorded the video yet, but I just finished working on the thumbnail before I started streaming. So that should be out soon. And this FPS is really killing me. So I'm gonna knock this down a little bit because it's bothering me how janky it is. It's really not usually like that. I think it is using the mods that's doing that for me. There we go. That's a little bit better. And I think this area still needs some stuff, so here, let's come in with some barrels over here. Whoops. There we go. And maybe some down here. I want to maybe put some redstone to imply that we're kind of getting rid of some pretty gross stuff, and put another hide up here. Probably going to copy the one that I did in here. So. Whoops. There we go. I'm wondering if I should just get rid of these blocks and just use the hide. What are you working on? I'm currently working on a little tannery area. So we are just outside of Brewerstown, and my goal for this stream is to finish basically these two buildings and any kind of little bits around it that I can work on. Just so I can say that this part of the build is done and move on to other greener pastures. This is from before I turned this all into sand. So, whoops, there we go. So, yeah, I'm thinking I might just go like this. It's kind of far apart, I'll be honest. There we go. Okay. So I'd like to do something similar on this side, I think, but with a bigger one. I'm going to use the leather texture for this. Is there anything new you learned this week that could apply to your world building? That's a good question. I need to think about that one. The presentation that I gave this week for anthropology was about feminism in reference to Palestine and how things like war and colonialism affect women and are kind of gendered issues. Basically, it was responding to a text by an author, Nada Elia. There hasn't been much war in Tredagor, but on the other hand, there is kind of a siege happening like way over there, and I think it could be interesting to think about how the villagers are taking it and how people of different backgrounds might be affected by the siege. This is so far apart. This is killing me. I think I'm going to use walls because they're a little bit closer. Okay, here's a life hack. See, that looks bad though. I don't like the way that that looks. I'll be honest. I preferred what we were doing before with the strip jungle wood. There we go. And I feel like we can put something in this area as well. Love your streams. I look forward to them. Thank you. I find streaming helps me actually like sit down and get something done that's like productive to video making, because a lot of time I tend to just start new projects and it's not ideal. Here we go. So I want to spread a little bit of grass around here. And we'll come in and remove some of it. I think I'm going to remove this and this right away, kind of. Remove some of this stuff. Here we go. Okay, so my issue now is I'm not really sure how I want to do the rest of this place. I might actually come down here and make a small table, because I imagine sometimes they're not going to be getting delivered pelts. They'll just get delivered like the better part of an animal. So I think it might be interesting to have a place where they're doing something that's a little bit more butchery than what might be expected of them normally. I have so many of these I have so many of these texture sets now that I'm like kind of overwhelmed whenever I open it. I have like 25, I think. And I only started doing them like in January. So who knows how that's going to evolve. Here, though, I'd like to take a lever and maybe one of these things. Hold on. Yeah, something like that. Just to show that it's kind of like a big mess and they're not necessarily getting like... Those are kind of like little legs or whatever. Just to show that they're not necessarily getting like pre-made stuff. They have to kind of get their hands really dirty. Like so. Here, I have an idea. Let's put this down here. And this will be filled with something gross. This is our little blood basket or whatever. Okay, what are we still missing? I'm considering changing these out to all be like this. I think it kind of makes more sense, to be honest. There we go. Yeah, I think that works. I think that works better. Trying black rice for the first time tonight. Fun fact, in ancient China, it was called forbidden rice because only royals could eat it. That's really cool. I think food is a really interesting part of culture, and one of the people I talked to today is doing a presentation or is doing a big research project on if anybody in this chat has watched Survivor, especially like back in the day, you know, like Survivor used to have those food challenges where they'd be like, now you have to eat some weird stuff. And this person's paper is gonna basically be about how a lot of that stuff is like weird, gross out food, but it's always talked about as being like indigenous. So I was like, look at what the people in this place eat. You're gonna eat fried spiders and eyeballs and stuff. And it's like this weird kind of racialized, culturally appropriating thing that just kind of happened on like, you know, like 20s or 2000s reality television. I think that's really interesting. Sir Friedrich von Königsberg asked, what century is Brewerstown in? Most of Brewerstown is based on kind of 12th and 13th century England. A couple bits of it could be considered later, up to like 14th century, but there's nothing in Brewerstown that's like post-medieval, really. I'm trying to make this place feel pretty medieval. Let's come over here. I think I want to do another barrel back here in the grass. Just like they're storing something. Maybe they actually pushed it over here, like they rolled it. And let's see. I've been enjoying using this little display thing. This is my deck of playing cards. Why can I not? Oh, there it is. There it is. So using display entities, I put down a couple pieces of paper and sea pickle, and now we have some people playing cards during their lunch break. I think that's pretty cool. So that is our tannery exterior. If anybody has ideas for anything we can add, let me know in the comments or in the chat. The tree video is really helpful. I built a really good southern live oak. Thank you. Bye. Great stream. Thank you, Seagull, and I'm glad to hear that you got something out of that video. I think a lot of people enjoyed the tree video, although it didn't do well when I first posted it. But that's kind of the nature of things. I'm trying to think of what we can add to this little area down here. I might add another one of these things. Like so. Just to kind of expand the operation. And maybe a water cauldron, just to look like a bucket where they're fetching water for this place. I don't like the placement of that, but I'll put it, say, around here. Anything else? I might put a chest out here for materials that they're going to commonly be needing to access. And I think I want to do another one or two of these kind of hanging racks. That's 2 blocks apart. Maybe I'll just put some more of this stuff here, make it a little bit more visually interesting. And we'll extend the path out a little bit. Or even, hold on. We can go like so, and show that they are kind of in the middle of scraping it. Here, I'll take an axe. Down here. Flip that on its side. 90. That's 88. I need 90 degrees. Here, let's say that he's actually leaning. I say he. I think this is. I mean, getting back to the gender thing, this is mostly gendered labor. Tanning in the Middle Ages is mostly done by men in the very large majority. And we can scoot this up like so. There we go. Now I think I'm happy with this place. Hi, big fan. Considering Brewerstown is based on medieval England, will there be any Romanesque ruins that the locals have quarried from? Yes, I don't want to. I'm going to be very careful not to show stuff that I'm not supposed to, but I will show you in the woods near here. If we follow this path just a little bit, we can come into here where the herb woman lives, and just a little bit past the herb woman's hut, we can get to a Roman style temple. And you can see it's pretty old and it's pretty overgrown. But yeah, these are all the columns, and I'm using basalt. I'm actually using basalt other places in this world that look like four mountains, so I think it kind of makes sense. But this place is pretty old. You can see some of these pillars have kind of fallen down the hill, and it's been reclaimed pretty thoroughly by nature, which I think is really pretty. But yeah, this is the second for custom forest I made, and I've now made, I don't know. I guess it kind of depends how you count, but like five, six, seven, six. I don't know. Uh, I've been getting really into custom trees and custom forests, guys. Let me tell you, I have 99 tree models. 99. What a man needs with 99 tree models, I couldn't say. I will say though that I really need some more, especially my oaks. I feel like I need more oaks. My poplars are fine. I really need spruces, so that in the video I showed some red spruce, but I need to also do black spruce. So I need to do some red and black spruces for some upcoming terraforming. And what else was it? I need a couple more willows. And I'm thinking of doing a couple more birches, because I don't really have many birches. Da-da-da. Yes, Sir Friedrich von Königsberg plugging the Discord in the chat. Let me put a bench out here. I think it'd be nice. I don't know. I like the idea that there's a little area where someone sits out front by their porch. So like I said, I think this guy owns the tannery. He probably started it, like, when he started, he probably worked there, like, full-time, and now it's probably kind of a pastime. Like, he mostly runs it because he also has an orchard back here. Oh, I forgot to put water. This died. This is supposed to be a little plum orchard, and our plums have turned gray. There we go. So yeah, this is little plum place, and I feel like he probably splits his time between this place and the tannery now. You know, as people tend to do when they get kind of semi-retired. But this should be kind of a nice interior. Not like mega nice, but I think probably wooden floors. This is built almost exclusively on twos, and I hate that. Because it really sucks building on twos. Like, what am I supposed to do here? Oh, brother. Okay, so why don't we come in and... I don't think this started off as a nice house, but I feel like over the years, the guy who lives here probably made some, like, you know, like slow repairs to it to kind of make it nicer over time. I might change this to stairs. So it's not like a big place, but it is kind of nice on the interior. I don't know if you've seen those kinds of houses where it kind of started off as like a, I don't know, like a pretty quaint place, I guess. And you can see that somebody has like slowly gained wealth and slowly made it their own in like a really interesting way. Okay. It's not perfect, but you know, nothing ever is. So why don't we come in here with some floorboards? I always try and lay my supports in the same direction as the planks. I don't know if that's like realistic even, but I like doing it that way. Anyway. Looks amazing. I remember learning when I was last in Scotland that some of the ruins were still being quarried in the 18th century. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cool idea. Like you move to a new place and you're kind of a peasant and you see these big ruins where like somebody basically already did your job for you. Like they already quarried out all the stone they would possibly need. And you just take it, you know? Like I think it's just one of those interesting things that humans do, like basically everywhere, is reusing materials and trying to do something. It's kind of like collage, I guess. Maybe I'm getting too philosophical, but I guess I think of it like collage. Like you're taking some disparate elements and you're deciding that actually no, these these materials are interesting to me and useful to me, and I'm gonna put them all together into a new piece of useful art. I mean, I say useful art because like architecture is art, but it's also a home. Nice red bed. Don't mind if I do. Ooh, that's tough. Here, we won't put any windows in here, but we'll put... No, I don't know. I don't know what we'll put. We will put a window in here, I guess. And we'll just live with the fact that it's not, you know, ideal. I think I'd like to put a banner up there, though, because it's kind of bothering me, the idea of, like, having a window that high that you can't really see out of. But people could potentially see in. Hey, man, how you doing? Hello, Maddie in the chat. I'm assuming that's pronounced Maddie. Need to go right now. Goodbye. See you later. Goodbye, Frederick von Königsberg. Okay, so what else can we put in this room? Not much, I think. So I'll probably just put a little stair. Just to show that there is... I don't know. You never know why people might need to sit down. Maybe it's like mobility issues. Maybe there are 3 people who live here and one of them likes to hang out and talk to the other people. Maybe they're an early riser. So here, let's make that early riser's bed. Let's say it's over here-ish. Hold on. We can say it's there. Gonna make a pretty simple kitchen table. Like so. I don't really like the way that's crammed back there. Just started the live. I started at 7. And I'm gonna go until 9. Like 9 Eastern, anyway. I really want to put a third bed in here, though. But now this is just kind of wasted space. Hmm. Da, da, da. So what I've been doing is putting these little campfires inside of people's houses. Just to kind of represent the fact that most of these people don't have like chimneys and they're kind of just letting the smoke do whatever it wants. Here, we can actually come in here and put in another one of these little things. It'll also let in a little bit more light at the same time. Where's my sandstone? There we go. Go like so, and like so. And now, problem solved. The smoke has somewhere to go when it rises. And we have a little cauldron here on a stand, so we can hold it above the fire if we want to. Trying to figure out how I can squeeze a third bed in here. It's a tough one. We might just say that all 3 people sleep in this big bed, which is fair. A 2-meter wide bed can accommodate 3 people if you really squeeze, but I don't know if I feel like satisfied by that answer. Since this guy is the tanner, I'm going to put another hide up here. Just because I feel like it fits, you know? There we go. And once more, we're just going to buff this up a bit. Maybe it's a big rabbit. But I think it's probably not a rabbit hide. It's, I don't know. Maybe like a ferret or something. A ferret is smaller than a rabbit. I don't know what I'm saying. But it's something. Where would any dock workers / fishermen sleep? Good question. This is a pretty small dock area, and I don't think anyone really lives here. There's one boat that's leaving now, and this is just a fishing boat, but it's not, I don't think there's any professional fishermen that kind of are here. I think it's more like hobby fishing, if that makes sense. And that may sound a bit weird, but my reasoning is just, I don't really want to expand this area and keep adding more and more houses. So we can say that people in the town come down and they say they fish during the day. Or maybe during like autumn or spring or something when there's a bit more free time and you're not like farming constantly. Don't quote me on that. I don't know what the busiest time for farming, but I imagine some seasons are a little bit I imagine some seasons are a little bit more busy and some are a little bit more casual, I guess, lax. I'd like to also put up a shelf here. Like so. Just to add a little bit of storage and maybe a couple of I don't know. This thing is kind of taking up a lot of space, but it is a fire. Keep rearranging myself in my seat because my back is kind of killing me. Here. This is... I'm not getting any music in here, so... I'm gonna play this and I'm just gonna put it a little bit far away. I'm gonna put it slightly further away. All right. It's so loud. It's gonna bother me kind of, but never mind. There will be no music playing. Imagine that Cat by C418 is playing in the background of this clip. Alright, I think we still need to do a little bit more work here, and I'm not super happy with using red here. I feel like I might want to do orange instead. I don't know, orange feels a bit more unique, I guess. I'm not really happy with it. Hold on. We'll do yellow. We'll try yellow. Yellow might be worse than orange. Yellow is kind of worse than orange. Let's just go green, classic. Can never go bad with green, because green goes with brown. And with gray. Alright. So we have the basis of an interior here, but I feel like it's still really bare bones. There's no like place to do much. And this is kind of taking up space weirdly, I feel. So, whoops. And I don't think the walls here are textured like they're supposed to be. I guess they kind of are. Oh, just didn't show from the inside. Anyway. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of a bench here, and this is going to be just a big sort of trestle table. We're going to have a little spot to cook over on this side. And we're going to have some hanging herbs up here. Glowberries won't grow any of those little kind of glow things as long as they are not growing new vines. So they'll never grow on old vines, basically. They can only grow on new vines. Put a candle over here. Doesn't need to be on, it's pretty bright in here already. But maybe during night, they might turn the fire down sometimes in the summer. This will be my last question because I gotta go. Does your field use the 3-field crop rotation system? It does not. Tradagore doesn't have good crop rotation. Some places do leave their fields fallow, but I don't think they're regularly rotating like they should be. So somebody has to come teach them about soil health and nitrogenation and salination and stuff. Here we go. I like this better. This feels a bit more, I don't know, put together. I don't really like where that door is though, and I'd rather have it here. So I can go like that. And then in the corner now, I can put a pot and some firewood. Like so. And there we go. Hold on. Ah, whatever. It is what it is. Is there anything else we can do in here? I think this is fine. This place still feels weird. It's like a little bit too far back. So I kind of want to pull this forward and just make it like a nice bed. It's just, I don't know. Ba-ba-bum. Maybe they just keep some little pots and things back there. Yeah, there we go. It's like a little vase or something. Actually, that'd be kind of funny. Hold on. Poppy. Whoops. Hey, well. Stop doing that. There we go. It's important to put some weird stuff in your houses sometimes. So we have a couple of interiors done. Now what I need to do is work a little bit on the clutter for this place. So I'm going to put a composter over here. I need to do it this way because these are half slabs, so not going to work by itself. And we can pull this just a little bit. And there we go. It looks a little bit weird because it never gets the lighting quite right, but I don't think there's much we can do about that. Just add something so that it kind of looks a bit less empty. We have a little wagon here delivering stuff to this guy, and we have a place where they can kind of push boats in the water. I'm going to put an actual boat here. I think... Actually, that doesn't look good, but I will put a boat in here in case... I always like putting boats around Tredagor in chests near the water. This way, if people want to visit in survival or adventure mode or whatever, they can feel free to do so. I feel like I want to put in a little tree over here. And maybe just a little one. Like so. Not bad. I'm still not sure what to do with this area. I know I could expand this and put more houses. I think realistically I will at some point. I just don't really want to do it now. I don't want to keep adding on to Brewerstown. I feel like it's kind of... It's such a bloated project as it is. I feel like I can't just keep adding more stuff. One thing I do need to do... Oh no, I added my seagrass. I did it wrong though. I did it with simplex, and I should have done it with splatter. There we go. That's a little bit more like real Minecraft, and we'll add in just a little bit of kelp actually. Few blocks of kelp, never hurt anyone. And that'll grow up in a couple minutes because I'm at random tick speed like 30. So I think this is a fine dockyard. Kind of missing a couple little touches though to make it feel a little bit more alive, I think. I want to add something like up front here. I'm not sure what though. Any ideas in the chat as to what I can add in this little part? There's like a 30-second delay, unfortunately, so I gotta wait for you guys to get to there, but let me think in the meantime. I don't really want to put a chest. But we have this space to work with, basically. I can do something like here-ish. Have you heard of Stoneworks? Yes, I have. I know that there is a Stoneworks, like, geopolitics server. It's not really my thing, but I respect it. I've just never been into those kind of, like, big multiplayer servers, really. I know a lot of people ask me, even in, like, the Discord, if I want to do multiplayer stuff, and my answer is kind of always going to be no, I think. Oh, that's not supposed to be there. Oh, and that's not supposed to be like that either. There we go. Some of our kelp is growing up. Lovely, lovely. I might put a sunken boat down here. I don't know. Feels like a good vibe. Just a little fishing boat down at the bottom. There we go. And yeah, I think that looks good. I mean, you can't really see from the surface, but I don't think it's not meant to be super visible. It's just meant to be there, you know? Pile of barrels. Pile of barrels, classic. I will go for pile of barrels. I think pile of barrels is probably the move. Oh, and it is 8 o'clock, so my night mode just went on my laptop. I'm sure you love some aspects of it, but respect it's not your style of play. Yeah, I do like the Stoneworks videos, like the old... I think some of the older stuff on that channel is really good. Just want to put a couple things there so that the barrels don't run away on me. But I think that's a nice little addition to this place. I might put a fishing rod around here somewhere, or... I'm not sure. I really wish more fish would spawn in the ocean, and I'm not sure why they don't. Wherever I don't want animals to spawn, like on my grass, they always spawn. So I get random pigs and chickens everywhere. And where I actually want my mobs to spawn in my oceans, I get nothing. Such is life. Gonna do some tall grass around here because I think it looks good as, well, not good. I think it kind of accomplishes what I want, which is like reeds growing up around the water. And what I want to do here is just add a little bit of mud to my shoreline. Just something like so. Whoa, too much, too much. Still too much. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna need to come in here and see, like, I did not spawn these guys, and I don't know why they're here. And I wish that they weren't. But so it goes. Alright. I think that kind of wraps up this area. Unless anyone in the chat wants to suggest things we can add, I think that's mostly everything. I mean, I might do some pollution, actually. Hold on. Since we're going to be dumping blood and guts and stuff in the water, and, like, animal hides and urine and sinew and stuff, I think we're going to go for some... hold on. It feels like too much. Yeah, something like that. It's subtle, but I think it kind of has a good effect. Maybe I'll... Can't have human settlements without pollution. There we go. That's a little bit excessive. Hold on. I need to curtail this somewhat. I don't want it to look like a mountain of poop, but I just want it to be a little bit dirty. Yeah, there we go. I think that fits. What is the world editor thing you're using? I am using Axiom Mod. It is a lot like World Editor. I find it easier to use than World Editor, which is why I use it, because World Editor always felt kind of hard for me. I found it like really unintuitive versus Axiom is a lot more like mentally doable for me. I don't know if that makes sense. And yeah, that's the dock area. So I mentioned in the Discord that I was doing a bathhouse kind of area. This is that bathhouse. So there are a few buildings. There's the proprietress's place, place for the bathmaids to sleep, a little storage shed, and then a couple of actual places for baths. We have a cauldron sign out front. This is also with Axiom. I did a video on how I make my signs, but that's one of the types of signs I use. So you come in here, got some fresh herbs and stuff hanging. You hand over some coin, and they tell you go to one of these buildings. You pop in, and there's a little bath here, and a woman will come see you and give you a wash, basically. Or you can just pay and have your clothes washed. These item things are also with Axiom. I think it's nice down here by the willow trees. You can kind of get that view of the port, just barely. There's a little bit of a wall here to provide a bit of privacy to the whole affair, I guess. And we're a little bit close to the water level here, so that's why this building is on a block and this building is a little bit higher. But what I still need to do for this place, apart from a couple of miscellaneous details, is the actual baths. So why don't we come in here? I want to make some baths that are just like very simple, generic. Like this is just a pretty whatever thing, but I also want to have, here we go. Okay, that's like too much, but I want to have like clothing hooks in all these places. So you can hang up your clothes when you get in here, and I'd love to put a candle around here somewhere, but I don't know where I can put a candle. These windows are not really working for me, so I think I'm gonna go for maybe something like this. See, that feels like there's not enough privacy. That's not ideal either, but I think we can put down a banner over it. Let me try this. Okay, I think that's a good medium. Because it's kind of annoying me that it's taking up space on the interior. I guess the banner still does, but in a less intrusive way, I feel. Oops. There we go, and where's my water that I just threw away? Oh, I also wanted to put in some smooth quartz to look like maybe this is lined with like linens and stuff. There we go. Like this one is kind of padded almost. Hello, Grumpy Bear in the chat. I don't have a dual monitor setup, by the way. I literally just have like my phone out next to me. So if you see me momentarily distracted, it's because I'm looking at my phone and looking at the chat. All right. And I think these ones are both going to be padded. Well, here, this one is going to be empty, actually. I don't think these should all have water necessarily. And this one is going to be padded. Not padded, I don't know what the word would be, but basically there's just a, you know, like a curtain kind of draped around it, like a bed sheet. There we go. I'd love a way to light this place. I have no idea where I can put a candle in here. This is kind of bugging me. I guess I can do ye old lever trick if I want. Like so. I mean, it feels weird. Like, it doesn't feel... Hold on. Okay, so these two are, and then these two have water in them. So I'm gonna put some candles, I think, on the floor here. I'm not sure if these give off light or what their deal is. I guess they don't if they're just displays. Okay. There we go. Okay, so both of these are going to have candles, and I think these two are both going to be empty, like so, and like so. That's kind of it for the bathhouse area, though I feel like I still need a bit of exterior decoration. I'm not sure what I can necessarily put, but just bothering me that it was a little bit empty looking. I know I could put like barrels and stuff, but I don't want to overdo it with that. And I guess if we need a place to boil water, actually. I had this as a storage shed, but this kind of needs to be I think this kind of needs to be a place where they're boiling water. So, oh, good lord. So here, why don't we go like so, and then I imagine basically you put the wood in here, and it kind of it's right next to this kind of stone sink, so the stone is gonna absorb the heat. I don't know. Actually, that doesn't really work for me. Hold on. I'm gonna do a chimney here. So we're gonna heat up cauldrons full of water. That's gonna be the move. Like so. Put a little fire thing there. I think those guys already have water and no one else is coming in today, so if someone else comes in, we'll heat up some more water for them, but otherwise the chimney's gonna be off. You can go like so, and here we go. So actually I'm gonna change that, but there we go. So this is our little area. This is where we can heat up our water. I got a little chest here, but I think I'm probably gonna replace this just with firewood. And I guess this wouldn't necessarily need to be an interior space, but I think there's a lot of rainy days and people still want their stuff like washed on rainy days, you know? So I think it's probably going to end up being in here. There we go. And this kind of makes sense to me, like as a location. Like so, and voila. Now we have a place to heat up water. Still feel like this is a little bit empty. Have any problems converting Axiom worlds back to vanilla? I have not tried. In theory, no, because Axiom doesn't add anything. It just kind of it's like if Minecraft commands were a lot better, basically. Um, like there's no blocks that I'm using that don't really exist in Axiom. Even like the display entities. Display entities were added in 119.4 as just a thing you can do in Minecraft now. They're just summon commands that are a bit more advanced, but that's I forgot I have medieval music mod pack installed. But yeah, hold on. This is bugging me how much of the path this takes up. Uh, I mean, actually, that can just stay there. That doesn't really bother me too much that it's lopsided. Not all buildings have to be symmetrical. Asymmetry can still be beautiful. I don't know. I feel like this area here needs something, though. That's a tough one. I know what I'd like to do, like, ideally would be to put, like, a campfire in a place for people to hang out, but I don't know if that's, like, realistic. I don't know how much space we have. From door to door here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fire, chair, chair. Maybe. I think a place to hang out would be kind of useful. I don't know. I'm thinking of this as kind of like a spa. Maybe that's the wrong mindset to go into it with, but that's bothering me though. Like I don't like the smoke coming out and stuff. Leather builds aren't giant, super over the top, everything cozy and real. Thank you. The next build I show off is going to be the complete opposite. It's going to be very not cozy and not real. Um, because I kind of wanted to play around with like different styles and fantasy and stuff. But I, to me, this is the heart of Minecraft. Like I can do 1,000 mega builds with Axiom, but none of it matters. Like none of it is as fulfilling to me as trying to figure out what to put in the 8 spaces between 2 doors in a bathhouse. Like to me, this is the real meat and potatoes of the experience. That being said, I have no idea what to put here, and that is a toughie. There's a bench over here, so there's no real wall here though. Although, hold on, I could do. I could do like this, right? And then this way. That kind of breaks up the area, and we get to put in a bench. And it kind of explains a little bit, um, because you wouldn't want to live like next to a river. I mean, even if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters above sea level, you don't really want to live 5 meters above sea level. Ask anyone who lives in Louisiana. So I think this kind of makes a bit more sense. It's kind of like a wall that kind of holds back the land a little bit from like sliding and the water a little bit as well. And I like that. I think I don't know, do we want to put in a little tree here? I might put in a little tree. I mean, I could put something weird like a stone pine, but I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it kind of doesn't make sense with this biome. My stone pines are supposed to be for warmer places. It is kind of nice though. Ooh. conundrums. Here, let me at least try some other options, then we'll go back to stone pine too. Let's see, cypress, plum tree, maybe. Plum trees are a bit short though. I could do a silver fir. Uh, what do you guys think? Is the silver fir a bit too big? Kind of blocks the view of the castle, although the castle is rapidly receding into the void anyway. Good evening, Desolator. Let's get rid of that, and I think poplar is probably my best bet. I think coming in here with something like this might be nice, or maybe even a little bit bigger, but not much bigger. Whoops. No, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Poplar 10. How big is Poplar 10? Poplar 10 is too big. I might go for stone pine, guys. King of all trees. Nah, it's perfect. I think the silver fir is a bit big. The crazy thing is though, that's the actual size of European silver firs. Like, if you look it up, it's like 35 meters. Poplar or plum tree would be my pick. My plum trees are very short, unfortunately. I don't like those are my plum trees. I could raise it by a block. Could go like that, and then that kind of makes sense though. Like it kind of makes sense to me that this place would have a plum tree, and it kind of also ties in with the you know what? I think that's it. I think that's actually the move. I liked the stone pine, but the stone pine really doesn't fit like uh biome wise. And there we go. That is the bathhouse. I didn't really show the interior of this properly, or this one. I'll show it on camera for posterity's sake, because I don't know if I'll show it in the Brewerstown tour. But this is the reception area, like I said. Bit of a shelf back here. And this is a little space for the proprietress to sleep. It's a pretty simple space, not much going on, but you know how it is. You don't necessarily make a ton of money running a bathhouse. And then over here, this is where the girls sleep. So there are a couple of beds, a couple of chairs and stuff, a little kitchen table, and a chimney with some herbs and stuff growing. Not growing, some dried herbs and flowers and stuff. Give the place a nice scent. There we go. Nice and flowery. I like the idea that the bathhouse area smells really nice and fresh, and it has all these really kind of herbaceous, flowery plants around. Ugh. What do we have left? Well, a lot of the town, but I don't feel up to doing town stuff today. I think finishing this is my pick. So this is the hops field. We have a brewery just over there. So for a brewery, we needed hops. I'll come down and show you. It's a system where we're using glowberries and we're using birch fences that are debugged to be slightly lower. And it kind of makes it look like the hops are growing on these kind of simple trellises, which is how hops grows in real life. But what I want to do is add in a little bit of variation. So we're going to come in with our grass. Path Brewerstown. Maybe knock that down a bit, knock that down a bit, and okay, I don't super like that. I'm going to reduce the radius and the size of this. There we go. like so. Just trying to make it feel like this is a place that's getting, you know, kind of trampled pretty often. And there we go. This is a small storage shed. Not going to be a very interesting interior, but I feel like every good farm needs like either a barn or a shed or both. Sometimes both, but this one is just going to have a little shed. I know that this, I guess, style of content isn't the most interesting to everyone, but it is weirdly some of the most helpful to me because it's really hard to build on camera in a video, and I find doing it like this is a lot more of an easy and I guess laid back way of showing my process. And also, I've been ignoring Brewerstown because it's kind of a bummer to work on like something that's been going on for a while, which I talked about in my finishing projects videos, but I've been kind of ignoring finishing Brewerstown. Not ignoring, I guess deliberately putting it off is a more fair term. Now, though, what I want to do is... Whoops. Come in here and just really work on all these interiors, because you can do a billion exteriors, but until you do the interior, to me a build doesn't feel fully alive, because it's not like... I don't know how to explain it. The interior to me is like where most of the life happens. And to have a build with no interior just feels a bit dead a lot of times, I feel. So there we go. We have some hops storage back here. I like making places for people to have lunch breaks. And I think the important thing here actually is a bathroom. I forgot to put any bathrooms over there. I gotta go back and do that. And you can hear all the lovely ambience mods I have because I'm right next to a bunch of trees. And the trees are what trigger the mod. Here, we'll put it there because I can't put it under here because it'll block basically. Like so. Classic composter trick and trapdoor. There we go. That was a little bathroom. Here we go. We'll just do something simple like this. Whoops. Hey, stole my mouse. There we go. Just make it feel a little bit more alive. I don't really know how you harvest hops, but, you know. So it goes. I need to come in here with a few more slabs, though, because this feels really janky. There we go. And I think like one over here. There we go. Doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to kind of make sense. like so. Done that. And I'm wondering if there's anything else we need to add to here. My gut is telling me kind of need something else. I'm not sure what though. Let's see if I have anything in my clipboard. Oh, here we go. I think a simple wagon. Just to kind of imply that they're not going to haul everything necessarily like just to that shed, but that they're getting things a bit further away. Whoa, that's weird. Oh, jeez, it's not that. Hold on. That's so annoying. Okay, this is turning into nightmare. Okay, go like so, and then like so, and then there is our... There we go. That's a finished field to me. Has that little extra kind of human touch. It actually feels like somebody's like physically working there. Ugh, there's so much to do. So these are mostly just farmhouses. Some of these are barns and stuff. This one is actually a church, and some of these are a bit more important houses. This one belongs to a knight. Pretty minor knight, I will say. This guy isn't like living the high life or anything, but you know, he has his own place and he has a couple of beds and stuff. I think that's fine. I just realized though that this is one of the early interiors I did, and I'm not like a bajillion% happy with it. So there we go, it's a little bit better. This one, like I said, is a church. I think this one looks pretty cute. There's no like pastor here, like there's nobody who works full time. So if you want to get up and say a little speech or whatever, you can. But this is mostly just for coming and sitting as a community. It's like a community center. Taking a sip of water. We have a couple more farmhouses, and this guy is a chandler. That one over there is a butcher, which I never finished, even though I thought I did. So he has some sausages and stuff hanging here. Bit of a meat locker. It's pretty cramped, I know, but, you know. Right, I never finished this place. Okay. Okay. So why don't we put a little bed here, and you can see that there is a shelf kind of dividing up the room a bit. There we go. Just to make this feel a little bit more separate, if that makes sense. This is a little bedroom. Here, let's go for something a little bit different. A lot of brown beds. Let's go for a gray bed. I feel like I do want a candle in here, even though it's a little bit dim. A little bit dim can be nice, but I don't know. I feel like I'd prefer to have it a little bit brighter. I don't think I can. Kind of. Okay. So I can kind of put in a window-ish. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I kind of want to avoid having candles in places because candles are expensive, and I mean, heating a room with windows is also expensive, but in a different way, if that makes sense. Here, we'll put a little window shutter there so we can close that up if we want to. I think this one's fine being open because that's just the storefront. This is where people live, you know, you want your privacy. And I'm going to put one here too as well. Up above the bed, going to put a little pot. A little slab of something. Maybe it's some dark colored clothes, or who's to say? Actually, here, I'm gonna make it black stone, just because we don't use a lot of it. I will come in here and put a candle and maybe a little chest up here. This is going to be our cooking station. Ooh, it's a little bit tight. I know I was looking up roast chicken. So I use these in Brewerstown to look like pans, basically, or like little kind of pots or cauldrons that you could put by the fire or like in the ashes. Ba, ba, ba. Here, let's put in some more blueberries. Wait, let me try roots. I don't know. That doesn't really look like anything. That doesn't really work for me. I don't want this to grow. So we're putting in a structure void. It's kind of like a barrier block where you can walk through it. And you can't really place stuff on it like properly. Put a couple of tripwire hooks and some signs. Again, just trying to make it feel like this is a bit more of a cozy space than it, I guess, really is. But this is close to the fire, so it would be a nice place to sleep. It's just, you don't have a ton of privacy, and that's really the big thing. Ba-ba-bum. Out front, I'm not sure that's done. And that's done as well. There we go. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep those, but I like the idea of having like visible smoke. I envy how good you are at scaling your builds. Thank you. I I guess scaling your builds is kind of a complicated topic. I should cover that a bit more properly, I suppose, at some point. But yeah, it's always a weird thing when you think about like you build a castle and then you realize it's kind of the same size as like a normal house in another place you built. You're like, oh, my castle is like weirdly small. Um, and that's kind of inevitable, I guess. But I want to put something here. I feel like this is like I haven't detailed this house yet, but this specific space feels like super empty. So maybe a cart coming into town. And we'll say that he has some goodies. I want to make this kind of bright, although it might end up being too bright. And this is one of the important things with your builds is you don't want to have something super bright in an area you're not trying to draw attention to. If you're having color somewhere, it should be kind of a focus of your builds. Not like necessarily, like not only important stuff should have color, but say if you're looking at, okay, imagine this was properly loaded in. If you're looking at it like this, you want the colorful stuff to be like up there and not necessarily down here. But I think this is a toned down enough orange that it's fine. I'll put a pot. These are just like giant turnips or whatever. Just because it's silly and kind of fun. I might replace these, but I don't know. I wanted to. I think, you know what? I think it's fine. I kind of like the idea that this guy's bringing in his prize turnips and beets into town. And he's like, guys, you're never going to believe this. I grew like the biggest turnip of my life. I think it's kind of a fun idea. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Probably stack up some firewood up. Yes. Yes, we're going to stack up some firewood up front because the butcher has a smokehouse in his backyard. And he has a chimney, and all that stuff is going to take a lot of, you know. There we go. Some firewood up front, and these are just a couple of supports holding up this house. I like the idea, and it kind of ties this area together a bit more than it otherwise would be. I really like Brewerstown as a project. It's not perfect. There's a lot that I haven't quite figured out about it. Like these hedgerows, which don't really... I'm not 1,000% happy with them, but I tried like a million designs and I couldn't find a better design for my hedgerows. So I don't know. Maybe that's just a c'est la vie moment, but... And I kind of hate having this carrot patch here. It doesn't feel like... Doesn't feel real, I guess. So here, let's get rid of the carrots. Let's get rid of the farms. Replace this with grass. And this kind of backyard area is the last thing I'm going to do on stream before I head out. I know this has been kind of a short one, but my back is killing me, and my girlfriend is going to be free to give me a phone call pretty soon. We're medium distance, so gotta wait on that call every night. Here we go. And I want something very minimal for letting out smoke. That might be too much. I want something more minimal, possibly. Or here, let's try maybe like this. Just two little holes for letting out smoke. It has to be a solid door. Like I said, this is a smokehouse, so this is where we're going to be making our sausages, basically. And I'm going to stack up some more firewood up here. like so. Coming in here, I haven't seen the inside of a smokehouse in a while, but we're gonna go kind of vibes-based, you know. Oh, that's not supposed to be there, really. It's supposed to be here. Because it needs to go to the backyard. There we go. Oh, right, and the reason I was coming in here was because I'm trying to see what I use for sausages. So these are my sausage blocks. This one is like a, you know, like those white salamis? This one is more like generic sausage, and this one is blood sausage. Here, let me go like this so that I can use chains properly. Or maybe we'll have this be a dark oak ceiling to show that it's pretty saturated with smoke. There we go. Okay. Now, there are things about this build that are not, like, strictly medieval, and I want to point that out. Like, the amount of chains and stuff that I use is not ideal, but Minecraft doesn't have a good way to show ropes, and there are certain, like, tropes that I like to lean on for my builds. Like, the butcher with all the hanging chains of meat is, you know, it's like a trope, but it's a fun one, I think, and it is one of those kinds of things that I like always tend to include, no matter what kind of build I'm doing. So here we go. And maybe we have a sausage that isn't quite cooked yet. So maybe this blood sausage... Here we go. Maybe the top of it isn't quite done. There we go. Nice little smokehouse. I think this could be cute if we just have a little bit of smoke coming out here. I kind of like that. Like I think that's cute, honestly. Okay, so this guy's gonna have animals, and he has animals, and he has animals. So this is the butcher for all of Brewerstown, basically. If anybody wants professional butchering, you gotta come to this guy, basically. But yeah, so I'm gonna kind of spread around some dirt. I don't like that at all. There we go. That's a little bit more manageable, and kind of work things out from here. So I think over here, it'd be cool to have a little laundry line. Doesn't have to be full of clothes, just has to be here. You know, a couple baskets and stuff around. And maybe here. I'll take this. And we'll make this a kind of like a big basin of water. The smoke might make your clothes smell a bit smoky, but it's the Middle Ages, and if you don't want your clothes to smell smoky, too bad, I guess. I just feel like this is like too visually busy with all the grass everywhere. There we go. Could be storing something down here, maybe a couple barrels. You know, just keep the rain off them, basically. Little pot. Not that kind of pot. We can do some little farming beds. If I can get to them in time, which I don't think I will. Nope. Kind of hard doing farming on a weird angle like this, but you know how it is. And we're going to bone meal this because it'll never grow in time otherwise. Since there's no water source nearby, it's going to take ages. Even with like 100 tick speed. So there we go. We have a small little garden. Could put a small tree back here. Not sure if I want to necessarily. But if I do, it's going to be a beech tree, I think. I might be doing too many trees. You know? Do you think they had beef tartare in the Middle Ages? You know what? That's a question I don't have the answer to. I don't really know how people necessarily felt about raw meat in the Middle Ages. I'm gonna actually say no. They probably didn't, for the specific reason that they didn't have refrigeration. And beef tartare kind of necessarily is a meal you have to eat very quickly. And today it's enjoyed cold, like straight from the fridge cold. And for those two reasons, like for that reason, basically, I'm gonna say probably not. There's a fine little garden area. I think I'm gonna include. I don't have a good place to do my butchering. Well, for my butcher to do his butchering, I mean. Which is kind of a conundrum, because if I do it here, the animals are gonna get spooked. Like, I can't just put a table right here and do my butchering. It's gonna be kind of bad, I think. So, I think that's a conundrum. Okay, what I might do is some kind of small house extension. Oh, I had these because I was dealing with like goats and stuff. It was a nightmare. Here, let me. I don't know. This shouldn't be made out of stone. This should be made out of wood. First of all, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, do, do, do. Yeah, there's leftover barrier blocks, basically. Okay, I think this is where he's gonna do his butchering, like, actually. Because, like I said, it needs to be away from... Well, it basically needs to be away from the animals and stuff, and it kind of needs to be away from, like, society for, like, not wanting to see animals get murdered reasons. Which, I know people in the Middle Ages weren't exactly, like, animal rights activists, but there's a very instinctual human thing about not wanting to see, like, blood and guts that most of us feel, broadly. You know. So and yeah, I'm probably gonna make this like thatch. It's just a small working area. It doesn't need to be anything special. It's just, you know, having a roof over your head and stuff. I know this is going to be kind of a weird building exterior now. I don't know what to do about that, really. Other than say, c'est la vie. Here we go. I need to actually take a pullback to see that this doesn't look terrible, which I'm going to do in a second. I need to build something and then judge it. I can't just judge it before it's done, because it might look fine or it might look terrible. See, I think that looks fine, honestly. Like, it's not ideal. I do need to tweak a little bit, but again, not tweak in that way. Yeah. I don't know. I might need to change this roof. Darn, those were stairs. Okay. Okay, okay. We could go like so. That's awful. Hold on. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. Like so? No, hold on. We'll get there, I swear. See, that looks weird though. I don't know what to do about this place. I feel like maybe I need to extend this roof. Like, just trying to like integrate it into the building and just say like it's, you know, not try to draw attention to it basically. Even though this is already turning to like a really big weird roof, but that's kind of why I resisted putting a butcher in Brewerstown to begin with, is because it's kind of like a big space, and like to make an actual butcher you need like so much room. It's kind of a nightmare. I think that's fine. I think that's probably the best we're gonna do. These carrots are kind of in the way now though. But that's fine, I think. Maybe we can even expand this. Uh, Here, we're gonna do this. We're gonna extend it back this way and then pull it back here. Because the oblong shape looks a lot better, I think, broadly. And we can just bone meal. Like so. And here is going to be where we actually do the animal butchering. I want to make this look like it's kind of like dried old blood, so I'm probably going to go for nether brick again. Oh, I like that better before. Now it kind of blends in weirdly. There we go. Da-da-da. You inspired me so much with building medieval style builds in Minecraft. That's very nice to hear. I've been doing this for a while. Uh, Although this is my most medieval build, I will say. Before this, I was doing kind of like medieval low fantasy, if that makes sense. I was using a lot of glass and a lot of like wooden roofs and stuff, and I don't know, like cobblestone roofs, that kind of thing. This is like one of the first builds where I'm really trying to be medieval, if that makes sense. Hello, Romeo, in the chat. I will say though that this is for people joining. This is basically the end of the live stream. We were just building a small little. I'm gonna put a chain here on the off chance he needs to work at night. He'll hang up a lantern, basically. Not gonna be any windows. This is just a. This is kind of nice though. I kind of like the shape of this roof now. It's pretty cool. And look, we did a whole new area. Look at us. So that is one interior done. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 interiors. Oh, actually, 6, 7, 8. 8 interiors. That's not a record for a stream, but it is good. Very good, and I'm happy. I really love Brewerstown in particular. Well, I gotta go. Good luck with the build. Thank you. I have to go as well. Gonna be heading out now. But thank you very much to everyone who came by and everyone who talked in the chat as well. It's always more fun when it's a bit of a back and forth, and you know, you can have a bit of a talk. I'm probably gonna go for that kind of glass style for all the smoke in Brewerstown. I find it's cute. Like there's something about like the big puffs of it that I think is really kind of like oddly endearing to me, almost cartoony, I guess. But that is gonna do it for today, guys. Have a good night, everyone, and I'm gonna end the stream here in just a moment once the stream kind of catches up to what I'm saying. This way, you guys have a chance to say goodbye. Oh, that's weird. I'm gonna get rid of that. Goodbye, Desolator, and goodbye, everyone in the chat. Always nice streaming.